You all can talk. They're not gonna pick that up. All right. Are we ready? Are you ready to jump in? All right, here we go. We're going to get ready to jump in. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Oh, it is Friday, and we're back here with Boss Rush today. I know the audio sounds a little bit loud to my co-host there. Don't worry about it. I'm mixing the levels on this side, so. Hey, everybody. Yeah, happy Friday. Goodness, what is this? March 7th already. Good Lord. And 2 weeks out of DICE, one more week to GDC, which I can't believe it. The conference season is completely rushing by there. But anyway, my name is Chris Melisinos. I'm the principal evangelist for video games here at AWS. And with me, we have a full house today. Next up is...
Hey, Dean Takashi, lead writer for GameSpeed Adventure Beat.
Very good. And... Come on, Susan. Come on.
Was I just supposed to guess?
We're all professionals here. Let's go. Let's get this done.
Susan Cummings, CEO, 10-6 Games.
10-6 Games.
Yes.
Dang.
And last but greatest is...
Oh, well, thank you. Sorry about that, you two. Hey, I'm Mark Delora, founder of Level Up Games.
Level Up Games
GDC.
and longtime game industry guru and super friend and all that
Super
awesome
gray
stuff.
hair.
And yes, that's what I mean. Look, I'm trying to, it's not just about the gray hair. That's earned, buddy. That is all earned experience. But so here we are back again. This
What's that, Dean?
Good.
I said, do you have a favor to ask Mark, Chris? Because you're buttering him up today.
Uh-oh. What does he need from me?
Mark, you're amazing and you're gorgeous. And I'm like,
And
What a handsome
by the way,
devil over there.
every time at this GDC,
Exactly.
I'm raising funds for. Yeah.
That's right. Get that check book out, buddy. All right. So,
Happy Friday.
That's right. Happy Friday, everybody. And then, of course, if you're joining us today, go ahead and repost this back out to your own walls and your own feeds and stuff, so we get more people joining in on the fun. And we're going to jump right in. And I want to thank Dean and Mark for hosting last week. And that worked out great. I was in a car heading to New York, so I was unable to participate, but I got a chance to listen in for a bit, and you guys did great. So thank you for doing that, Mark.
That was super fun, and we learned things, which is always nice.
We sure did. You know what else is really good to do is to put all that together like an hour before you go live and figure out where all the buttons are. That's great.
That sounds
It sounds like indie development, doesn't it?
It is.
Well, listen, we only have Susan with us for the first half hour today. So
I'm sorry, I'm terrible.
no, you're not. You have your priorities straight. You're going to go do stuff with your family. so that is.
I am abandoning a week to go to.
Oh, say that again. Say that again. I think we lost you there for a minute. Your audio.
I said I am disappearing for a week to San Francisco. So.
You are.
Yeah, as we are.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And we're going to be scheduling a Friday Boss Rush from GDC. So we'll all be together there in the same room. So I got to make sure I got
my calendar. I've saved the time. Yes.
I got to make sure I got all the software, everything that I need on my laptop as we go. So I'll be working on that this week. But
is it going to be the same time as usual?
I would think so. Yeah, let's go ahead and keep the same schedule, right? I know last time we had a very late night one, and there was just a couple of us hanging out, which was still lovely. But we'll go ahead and keep the schedule for everybody. But Susan, since we only have you for a little bit of time, why don't you lead us off? Like, what are the big stories, things that you want to talk about? What's most pressing for you? Let's go.
Well, Dean, thanks for posting the article about the dire state of female funding in the game industry, which is bleak as it's ever been, if not more so. Yeah, it's not getting any better. But I seem to be in the middle of doing loads of talks right now, maybe because I just never shut up. And I said earlier today to some women, I'm doing a thing next week, a Women in Gaming Expo online thing. And I said, you know what? The optimist in me is going to say that over the last, say, 2 years, I've noticed more women on the phone calls when I've talked to VCs, anecdotally. And if you asked me that 3 years ago, before we raised funding for Tiny Rebel, I would have said there's no women in VCs. Like, there's never a woman on the call. Suddenly, it's kind of 50-50 if there's a woman in the room. And so I'm kind of hoping that means that eventually maybe that those deals start to catch up with that. Maybe I'm being a dreamer and an optimist, but at least it's a nice little something, right? Something to say today.
Yeah, I was so when I posted the earlier story, it was about all of the sort of larger tech numbers too, how much women were getting as a percentage of all the tech startup investments by VCs. And then this morning I have another story going up just on the games industry one, and was able to get 2, maybe 3 women venture capitalists to comment on these numbers.
Cool. I can give you a list if you want them, Dean, sometime. Women I know who are actually at the VCs.
Yeah, I mean, I did bounce it off something like 75 VCs in all, and these 3.
And you ended up with 3. That's not great either, is it?
One male also weighed in, and so just in response to a mailing list question, we have like 4 venture capitalists talking about these numbers too, and everybody is not happy with it for sure. The actual percentage is so low, it's almost unbelievably low. Did you guys count this correctly? PitchBook produced the numbers, and so the number for companies that have a female founder and other male founders possibly in that group is like 19% of all tech venture capital, right? For women-only founders, it sinks down towards 2% for all of tech, right? For games, it sinks lower to 0.11% of the game VC deal values, and that's lower than 0.18% in 2023. And then for deal count, it's 0.26% are female founders for game startups.
Is that to correlate with female only or a female amongst the founders?
I'm waiting for a clarification on that. So I'm not exactly sure. It sounds like it correlates with the 2% number, but can't be quite sure of that right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's bleak. It's bleak, and we all keep pointing out how bleak it is, but I haven't seen enough to try to fix it. I mean, Ed Fries has done an admirable job with OneUp, I'll say, both in having backed loads of great female founders, and then also bringing in Kelly Wallach and Emily Greer as co-partners with him on the fund is a really nice step in the right direction there. But more of that, please.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, we continue to lean in and to also be advocates and allies and to support, investment in women-led companies and minority-led companies, right? And for more voices to enter the space that, create this, the diversity that storytelling and games provides to all of us, right? So,
Or I think I got
you three,
Elon Musk
you three are
online
among the
too.
good. You three are among the good ones, though. You know, I mean, and there are loads of wonderful guys out there in the industry who are advocates. And I have to say, Mark, to what you said, somebody said to me today that they're seeing a shocking number, not to get political, a shocking number of male-only studios, like where it's like 16 people and there's not a woman in the room. And they didn't feel like they saw that a year ago, even that suddenly the lack of DEI is kind of emboldening to some people. And that's really sad to feel like we're already taking a step backwards in representation on teams, which look, games are more than dudes. And if you're going to make stuff for people who are not just guys, then you need to have the voice of people who are.
I'm sorry, Susan. I would go even further to say you can't be an art for all if you can't have all voices involved in this space, right? Not just in video games, in any art, right? And just be, it's not like pie. Like if you have more, of the things you want, it's going to be less for everybody else. No, you can just choose to play what you want. You can choose to support the studios you want. You can choose to, to have any of those experiences. I never understood how trying to gatekeep or silence voices in art in any way, shape, or form helps anybody. It doesn't. It just doesn't, right? And,
But we have the, we have the added pressure, in the next 4 years of having a president who's trying to scrub DEI out of anything that gets federal funding. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that,
And I think it's emboldening people who always thought that was a bad thing, and now it's like, hey, someone's agreed with me. It's a bad thing, and now we're seeing the corporate guys scrubbing it. Amazon and Google and a lot of big, powerful, important companies saying that they're gonna go along with that.
well, I just hope that what's really happening is that the actual policies aren't changing, but the terms they're using for the policies are changing. Kind of like this is like what happens in grant proposals all the time, right? It's like, oh, for 8 years we're all talking about VR, and then suddenly we can't talk about VR anymore. We're still going to pitch the same products, but we're not going to call them. Those immersive simulations are really important. So I hope that some of the DEI programs, like, they've just shifted their names so that they don't. The Eye of Sauron is not looking at them anymore. I think that's sad in and of itself, but I believe that a lot of these big companies are not stupid enough to think that killing off these they're policies that are beneficial for the business. I mean, regardless of who's in the White House, like they're going to want to run their business in a good way. So fingers crossed, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Bowser agrees. He's giving you a big old snore here. Right, buddy.
He's bored of it.
Oh, Bowser, yes.
I don't know if you guys remember on LinkedIn not so long ago there was a figure that a lot of women in the game industry were sharing around, which was 2%, right?
Yes.
That's the 2% of venture capital going to women-led tech startups, but maybe the number should have been 0.1% instead.
Yeah.
We're
basically a rounding error, guys.
And we remember that Shelby Maladina had done that film Resting Pitch Face, the short film that was sort of a satire of the fact that of how hard it is for women to get venture funding. So
But I will say, on a good note, I'd love to bring some positivity back into the room.
Yes.
It does feel like there's some new funds cropping up, and maybe it's the excitement of going into GDC, but I'm talking to at least a few new funds that seem to have come out of nowhere, largely in Asia and Europe, as opposed to in the States. But that's exciting.
Yeah, and a lot of the existing game company or game venture capitalists are getting more rounds of money. They're able to launch their second and third funds. And Griffin Gaming Partners has had female founders as a priority for its investments ever since it started.
Also,
And Ilana,
I'm smiling because of Bowser's commentary. That's it. That's
Elena from Immutable has gone to Griffin as well recently, like a few weeks ago. She announced that she joined there. I think that without getting too sidetracked by talking about VC stuff, which seems to be all I've been talking about lately, I think the VCs have a real challenge in figuring out where the investable space is in video games now. It feels like we've gotten to this point that there's two ends of the spectrum. You're either AAA, and I think the AAA developers who want the kind of money that it takes to compete with, the Call of Duty and GTA stuff of the world are actually better off going to publishers, because what they found out was, for the most part, the funds that were going to contribute all the way up to launch aren't, and don't have the appetite to get them over the line. And so they end up doing the same exact publishing deal they would have done, but they also gave away a third of their company or whatever it was. So that sucks. And so I kind of feel like there isn't really a VC space there. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you have the indie stuff. And then you get, how is this venture scalable? There's too many games launching on Steam, and it isn't like mobile. How are you going to make billions? And so I think that they're all really, and I've had this conversation directly with a few of the big VCs, trying to figure out where they fit in anymore in our space, because they're not content people. Most of them don't play games, so they're afraid of playing publisher. So some of them are pivoting to gamification of other industries. Some of them, are clearly pivoting to tech instead of content. But I think that's really, concerning and something that needs to be figured out.
Reminding me of, in my head, I'm like, well, where's the data for that? Where's the data? And so I ran across the site yesterday that I was surprised by. Maybe you all know about it already. Maybe I was the only one that was surprised. IndieGamePublishing.com. Have you seen this site? It's like an infographic site summarizing 100 publishing agreements for indie developers. It's kind of super amazing.
Yeah.
We're all typing.
Share, markup.
Well, wait, yeah, go ahead and hit me with that. What is the URL again?
IndieGamePublishing.com. Indie with the IE, IndieGamePublishing.com. Yeah, it's just super interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to know more about it. But
look at that!
Like, how many of these agreements that we saw are auto renewing? How many gave away the IP? What was the average advance? What was the average revenue share? And revenue share based on what kind of deal? Blah 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 blah.
Wow,
super good data here.
This is awesome. Also, I want to make sure that we capture comments that are coming in here as well. And Shannon Loftus correctly reminded us that this is a really good discussion that we're having, right, for International Women's Day, right, which is tomorrow, I believe, right? Is it tomorrow? I think it is tomorrow.
Should be every day.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was today. I got very confused.
Maybe it is today.
No, it's tomorrow, but I think it's because tomorrow's a Saturday. So
all right, see, look what you do. What are you doing to me there?
You're a day ahead of us.
All right, we got that right.
Sorry, what were you saying, Dean?
I was saying this talk of publishers brings up one of our other stories of the week. We had an exclusive interview with Alex Joseph, who's the new CEO of Acclaim Entertainment, which is back from the dead. It's the company that brought us Turok and Mortal Kombat and lots of other classic
NBA
games
Jam.
from NBA Jam from the 1980s and 1990s.
Nice.
They went out of business and changed hands a few times, but Acclaim is a new set of folks like the wrestler Jarrett, what's his name, Jim Jarrett, and they have started a new indie game publisher.
Mm-hmm.
They bought the Acclaim name, and they are giving out they're investing money into new indie games. They don't have the rights to some of those popular games that we mentioned, because those are owned by other companies now, like Warner Brothers owns Mortal Kombat, and Universal has Turok, and NBA Jam is Electronic Arts. They're going to come to market with other kinds of games first. It'd be interesting to see what they try to recover that is sort of a past Acclaim Entertainment property. But nice to have another new publisher coming back and using a familiar name.
Yeah, love. New, old indie publishers, but also, okay, since you brought it up, what was your favorite Acclaim game from back in the day? Come on, y'all.
I'd say, Mortal Kombat.
Shadow Man. I remember Shadow Man being really good. You know the comic book. They did the Shadow Man game.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
I don't remember that, but I do remember.
Yeah, it's like a Bayou comic book. That what are they called? Valiant Comics. It's a Valiant Comics. Shadow Man, and they did a game based on that.
Wizards and Warriors on the NES. Yeah.
Quarterback Club. Oh, what about NFL Quarterback Club?
Yeah.
And NBA Jam always cracked me up because I started life as a recruiter 20,000 years ago, and every single person you ever talked to from Acclaim claimed that they made NBA Jam. That was their day. I just found that amazing.
Good. There's no way to prove otherwise.
Exactly, yeah. Hell of a lot of people that on their CV.
Yes, Acclaim. It doesn't make you feel good when you see that stuff get resurrected again.
Burnout. I forgot Burnout was Acclaim. How can I not say
Burnout?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently, according to Wikipedia, which is never wrong.
No, of course not. No, it's not. Not at all. Exactly. People are saying in here.
That was Criterion. But,
published by Acclaim.
Published by Acclaim.
Criterion.
Yeah.
Developed by Criterion.
Let's see. Echo was Acclaim. I thought Echo originally was
right?
No. Echo originally was Sega.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Turok made me so nauseous on the N64. Mark, do you want to speak to the brilliance and?
You're weak. You're just weak. That was the best game ever, and the trees were gorgeous, and there was no fog.
That's right. They went from 4 polygon to 6 polygon trees. All in Turok. It was fantastic.
Exactly. As it should be.
Oh my goodness, great. Well, Kelly here in the chat also said, "Hey, since we were taking recommendations, what about the nominees for the World Video Game Hall of Fame? Do you want to talk about that for a minute?"
I missed that.
Oh yeah, there's a dozen of them, and call them up here. I did not write a story because they just hit me with this on.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and.
That's why I haven't seen it yet.
I'll go ahead and drop that in here.
Let's see.
The Strong Museum of Play in Rochester, New York is insanely amazing. Like if you find yourself in the Northeast, you have to go and check it out. So here are the finalists.
There's nothing else to do there, so you have to go.
Well, yeah.
Well, they're games as opposed to people.
Right. What's that?
They're games as opposed to people. So I bit my tongue. I'm talking funny.
You bit your tongue?
At some point today, and so I'm.
Oh. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
I got the list here.
Yeah, we got Call of Duty Defender Frogger. But they're showing the tabletop.
Also Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Really,
This is all over the place.
GoldenEye.
Oh my God, these should all be in the Hall of Fame.
Mattel football. Yeah.
Tamagotchi, of course.
NBA 2K. NBA 2K. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's right there for Susan.
Jeez, I'm gonna go click on every one of these.
Well, Susan, since we just mentioned that, give us a story, a 2K quick story, inside story.
It's made for
kids. That's right. That's made for this family.
Well, I have a vivid memory. Because 2K Games is obviously named that because of 2K Sports, and because we were struggling with the name, and at the time Sega was looking to sell off their sports business, so we entered into negotiations with them to buy it out. And I remember the meeting where Greg and his partner Scott came to New York, and we were explaining to them what we were going to do. And look, this is a guy who spent like a decade thinking he was getting swindled by Madden and that they had the better game, right? So let that set the stage here for Brian Brandt saying, we're going to do it, but we're going to put it on our Global Star budget label, and we're going to charge $20 for your game. Like, you just could have heard a pin drop in the room, like his face fell. But that was the year that his football game sold 5 million copies, because GameStop would tell anybody who came in when they bought Madden at the till, they'd say, why don't you buy NFL 2K5 as well for $20? And so the tie-in ratio was crazy. People buying both. So they did 5 million copies of that. So it's
Nice.
Amazing.
Nice.
Right. And that forced that 10-year-long contract for the NFL license by EA.
Well, and that was ridiculous itself because we said it's long since any NDA to say that we spent $80 million buying Visual Concepts and Kush, the 2 studios there. And instead, EA spent, I heard, $800 million buying the NFL exclusive. So for 10% of that, they could have just bought the developers, and that would have been the end of Take-Two in the sports business right then and there before it even started. All they had to do, it would have happened. They easily could have outbid us. Yeah. And instead, they spent 10 times that on football. So.
Oh my goodness!
Perfect.
That is crazy. Oh, what a wacky industry. How about you guys, Dean, Mark? Do you have any good fond memories of these games here?
This GoldenEye there, of course, fond memories.
I was a very big fan of Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Call of Duty 4.
First time they stepped out of World War II into Modern Warfare, and that's all they do now, right? And that's like a 30 million unit seller game now, and comes out every year. But yeah, that was the very beginning of it. All kinds of over the top Call of Duty moments, and including a nuclear bomb going off in the Middle East, right? So it was the craziest of games.
Yeah.
Is that Defender? Is that Atari Defender that's up?
Yes.
That's for? Not Defender.
This is the Atari 2600 version of Defender that they have here, and it came with a DC comic book, right? Because you can do it. And I had gotten this as a graduation present from elementary school, and we played it on a 12-inch black and white Emerson television.
Channel 3 or 2?
Oh, Channel 3. Channel 3, of course. Yeah, of course. But oh my God, that was a really good conversion for the 2600.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I don't even remember it.
If you could see between the flickers, the flickering, because you couldn't have more than 4 sprites in a single scan line or something.
See Pac-Man, for example.
Yeah. Which, of course, now, what I love about that stuff is now we have people that really have figured out how to get in and really use the system. And now they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, including on the Atari 50th, the anniversary celebrations that Atari and Digital Eclipse did. Mike Micah, the brilliant Mike Micah, did a version of Berserk for the Atari 2600 that has the voices in it. And it will play on stock hardware. So all these years has figured out how to do digitized voices in that game for an original Atari 2600. It's just, video games are the best. I'm getting all flustered right now. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Eric Jean Weiss says, the Art of Video Games exhibition opened from the Smithsonian American Art Museum a decade ago and gave us a lot of insights on the history of video games. Wish I could have gotten there to see that.
You have your cup. Are you holding up your?
Oh, and where is it?
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know if everybody knows, but that happened because of Chris.
That was
Chris. Solely.
Oh well, no. You find the right people, you go build great things together. Just like that. Just like Boss Rush. Oh, look how we brought it all back together. Yay! All right.
Mark, did you make ribbons for Boss Rush alongside the other ribbons? Because that's a lost opportunity.
I should have done that.
Okay.
Did not think of that.
We
Next year we'll do that. Yeah. Oh yeah. So there's if you're going to GDC, make sure you go ride the carousel.
Yeah.
There's a merry-go-round right outside of Moscone South.
Lee was so excited when he heard that. I think he wants to go to GDC.
I loved it last year. It's John Sigerson, who's an old friend. He bought it out last year for the day, and he was like, "It was so much fun. I'm going to do it again this year." And I was like,
"Nice.
I'm gonna print some ribbons out, and anybody who rides the carousel can get a ribbon." So I ordered a bunch of ribbons, and they're in the mail.
That's super cool.
And I may or may not have I may or may not have some footage from that that I'll make sure I
Mark
post up on
writing.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, it was me and Chris and Paul Fisher from the State Department.
That's
Who makes,
right.
Cat Park and Harmony Square games.
Yeah, crazy.
Nice.
All right, what is next? What else do we have?
I
Let's
keep looking at this AMD page. That's the thing I've been staring at.
Oh,
a little
yeah?
bit here. I think Dean, you and I talked about this a little bit last week about AMD coming out and saying, we've got our next round of graphics cards, and we're going to go after the mid market. We're not going to make high end cards. And at the time, I was like, meh, because I kind of feel like you need to make high end cards in order to cost reduce down to lower end cards. Maybe they're just not shipping the high-end versions. Anyway, after going and looking at the prices of the 50 series NVIDIA cards, I was like, go AMD, go. I'm like, get in there, man. We need some competition because, whoo, those are expensive.
Yeah.
You don't want to pay $2,800 for your graphics
Holy
card?
cow. Even though, like, 50, 70s you could get on Newegg right now are like $800, $900. They're like, oh, here's this. We had one of this version of the card that was $550. All the rest of them are $900.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a hard pass for me. Like my whole PC cost me $1,000. Yeah, so let's encourage AMD to be a good competitor in the space, and Intel, the Arc platform, it should be a good competitor. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's interesting to have all three of those companies refreshing their hardware this year.
Yeah, but I was listening to one of the reviews on the new cards, right? And they were like, NVIDIA still owns something like 90% of the market. Yeah. Right. Yeah. With the AMD in there. And then they were like, Intel at 0%. Hopefully, they'll make their way back in a little bit, right? But, I didn't go for the newest card. I just as I mentioned in another live stream we did, I upgraded I was running a 1080 Founders Edition all these years, and it worked just fine. And then the Indiana Jones game needed an RTX. And so I was like, that 4070 super overclocked one, like $550 or something out the door. Yep. And I'm like, well, wait, the new cards, if you're using real frames, not fake frames, it's like 20% better, but like twice the price. Like that doesn't make any sense. I run 1440 ultra wide. I'm good. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. In fact, the crazy thing is if you go and look at like this Steam statistics, the vast majority of players are running 1080p 60 to 90 hertz. That's it.
Really?
Huh. Yes. Yes. So for all of us that want to go out there, and I'm not in that camp anymore because I'm like, I don't need to be right there on the bleeding edge where it's reddest, right? What I need to do is just get a damn card that can run Indiana Jones. And that's exactly what I did.
I'm a 4K or nothing guy, but the games that I play never, they're like, well, let's see, Subnautica came out 10 years ago. Shingo, it's not exactly a high ray tracing focused title. So it works out okay to have an old card.
Yeah, of course it is.
I don't know about Dean though. What are you running, Dean?
I got a 4090, I think here.
Nice.
But now he's got to upgrade. You just got to find time in your schedule to get that out of your machine and go get a new one, buddy.
Allegedly, I may get my hands on one of the 5090s, but I don't know.
I have got to head off.
You got to run.
Susan,
all right, Susan.
Lovely to see you.
We're doing this next Friday before GDC, right? So we'll have one more.
We have one more before GDC, and we'll talk more about all the things that are going to be shown there because there'll be some probably announcements coming up before
Let's talk about our picks for GDC next week too.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's exactly what we'll do. So over the next week, we'll put up a.
Should we maybe have a guest too, like while we're all in person together? Like, should we plan to have?
So I am talking to a gentleman who everyone would know his voice when you hear him, but I haven't locked that down yet, so I'm going to go try to confirm that and see. Maybe we'll have a couple of guests that we can run through.
Yeah, that'd be great. Rotating through,
right? And let's see if we can get both women and men founders or voices in our space and make sure that we get them on. So, Susan,
cool.
Go enjoy your crepe making and say hi to the family. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, all.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, now let's go ahead and
I
swap out Susan's scene for Dean's scene. There we go. Ta-da!
Look at that.
Look at that.
Animation and
Nice.
everything.
Professional.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
Yeah,
guys?
so what other big newsos do we need to talk
Yeah,
about
I got
here?
a few very interesting ones here. Ralph Koster and Eric Goldberg's Playable Worlds has launched a Kickstarter for Stars Reach. A big,
Yes,
sandbox
yes.
sci-fi MMO, and they've been working on this 5 years. The Kickstarter has gone quite well. They're at 551,000, and their goal, which they hit in the first hour, was 200,000.
Yep.
So
Awesome.
they have 19 days to go on this, and yeah, it's a very interesting, completely physics-based world where you can basically do anything.
Yep.
Under a lake, the lake's going to drain out. that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is there, and it's sort of an infinite number of procedurally generated planets that you can create in your own galaxy. So
Yeah, and this is I'm playing the YouTube video that's linked in your article, Dean. Yeah, I mean, Raph is one of these just incredible visionaries that really just sees, the possibility of what we can do in games and online game stuff. And he's really been pushing boundaries around this kind of stuff for decades, right? And I remember when I first had a chance to see their early demos, right, which I'm sure the both of you had as well as they were building this. I remarked to him, I said, this, part of this reminds me of like a terrain deformation technology that you were working on when you were at PlayStation. And like when we were meeting at E3 in like the early 2000s, and he's like, yep. He's like, yeah. And he goes, and now everything in the world impacts everything else, including somebody had posted in the Discord that is it normal for like all of a sudden the structure that I build to collapse into the ground? They're like, yeah, if somebody mined underneath you and the world collapses, that's what's going to happen. So you can just build
That's a great idea.
anything that you want. And part of the way Stars Reach is a little different than we've seen the construction of other MMOs and stuff, right? Is the notion of, you can have these other worlds or other things that are attached to the space that you occupy, much like you can hyperlink between web pages or construct these, environments out of cross-linking and cross-posting or cross-linking of these things. And so, yeah, what he's built is really remarkable. I'm thrilled that the Kickstarter is going so well. Everybody should go ahead and check it out. Dean's got all this information right there on the article, in the interview we did with him on the GamesBeat website. So make sure you go ahead and check it out. It's really fantastic. And these guys, I'm thrilled for them. Both just wonderful, wonderful human beings. And just, yeah, this is awesome, right? Really, really awesome. So good for bringing it up, Dean.
yeah, there's another Kickstarter going on for Wicked Fox Games. It's for a game called Rise of Elements, which is like a match 3 RPG type game from Terry Redfield. And they are 13,000 in on trying to get $50,000. So that one has started. Other interesting news was a gaming transaction that is leading to the creation of new jobs, which isn't always what happens when you have a gaming transaction. But Ludia spun out of Jam City after being acquired by Jam City a few years back for $165 million. And so they rounded up a bunch of Canadian investors, including Alex Sabet, who was the original founder of Ludia, and one of his execs, Jimmy Gendron, is now the CEO. And he said that they're going to create 50 new jobs. They already have 130 people working for them, but they're sort of restoring a lot of the corporate functions that they lost when they went to Jam City in 2021. And now they're back in Canadian hands in Montreal, and adding 50 jobs this year. So good news to hear alongside all of
and
the
my apologies. I was checking audio levels and sites and stuff. This you're talking about now that I'm catching up is
It's Ludia. Yeah.
Got it.
And they've made games, a lot of mobile games like Jurassic World Alive. Let's see,
Right.
The other Jurassic Park game, and just lots of things along the way. The DC Legends game for Jam City as well. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Good for them. And then we do have tariffs that have hit again, but we also have interesting deals that maybe have come from that. TSMC announced this week that they're going to invest $100 billion in new chip factories in the U.S. On top of the $65 billion that they're already pledged to do. With manufacturing plants that are up and operating in Arizona. And so that's evidently one of the responses to the tariffs. But yeah, the CTA, though, has warned that this is going to reduce consumer buying power by $90 billion to $143 billion. So, and you can expect lots of things to get hit, possibly even game consoles. So a lot of that, some of this is getting postponed another 30 days, and we'll see what actually winds up happening. There's been a lot of back and forth. I think the stock market reaction to the tariffs has not been good, and I think the Trump administration then is starting to go, what exactly should the right policy be?
Mm-hmm. I would just say it is fluid right now, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
let's hope that cooler heads prevail and we keep industry and innovation here in the States and globally alive and cooking, right? So
yeah.
And I'll leave that at that.
Here's a question for you guys. Like, what is your most memorable and favorite game trailer?
Trailer?
Yeah.
Memorable and favorite game trailer?
That's a great question to ask. Do you have one in mind?
I throw out a couple. The Dead Island trailer. If you remember that.
Yeah, where it went in reverse.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
And the Gears of War trailer that was sort of put to the tune of Mad World. Right. You guys. So anyway, these were some awesome trailers like that. Used to get awards from a group called Promax, but so these people are coming back and they're reviving the Game Marketing Awards.
Yeah.
And so sometime this year we're gonna get that back. It's been gone for quite a few years, and this group, Gemma, not sure how to pronounce it, but it's the Global Entertainment Marketing Academy of Arts and Sciences. Has reformed and added this focus on games, and they're going to do the Game Marketing Awards again.
Yeah. Well, we also had some people chime in here in the chat, and one was from Max, the old NES Zelda rapping trailer. The Legend of Zelda is really bad. That one. Yeah, go Link. Go Link. Yeah, that one. That was terrible. The original EverQuest trailer. That was great. But, we all have these kind of golden ages or eras in which we, experience those types of commercials and things like that. And, of course, mine from my childhood was like the Atari ET commercials at Christmas time. Those were always really good. And... yeah, so Atari ones. Have you played Atari today?
Was that the Xbox trailer? I'm remembering one where there are all sorts of people standing around like in a regular city environment. And
Yes.
They start
And they
attacking
all-
each other. Was that Xbox?
It was, and
They're
it was, yeah, and they're all in Grand Central Station. And 3 guys walk up to each other and basically point their fingers at each other like they're guns, and then everybody drops it, and they're all like, playing. And I remember the one guy like in the taxi, he's sitting there, and the guy runs up to him with his finger out, and he's on the phone. He's like, "Hold on." Then he finishes and goes, "Oh," like that, and falls over.
That was the Xbox one, right?
That was the Xbox one,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
There was another one that aired, I think, in the UK, but never aired anywhere else. It was this woman giving birth to a baby, and then the baby comes rocketing out of her, like blasts out the window, and it's like this baby like in the sky screaming. Right, and then it's getting older and older, and then it lands in a grave, and it was like Life Short Play More, and it was like Xbox, and I was like, holy. Oh yeah, and then Max.
There's a good one. There's a good one from Years of War again. With their Emergence Day game, E-Day, and it's a good trailer, but they played the Mad World music sort of in the background. That sort of reminded everybody of the original Gears of War trailer. So,
Yep.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, there was another one too, the Sony one. Do you remember for the PS2, Mark, where the guy opens the orb and smells it? And it's like PS9, but it's like the future.
I forgot about the PS9 campaign. Yeah.
Oh, Dean, that's really good. I'm gonna take a note right now. I'm gonna make a playlist of the best.
Yeah. You can find them on YouTube, like best game trailers of all time kind of search. I like the Battlefield 1 trailer as well. That was a good one. I remember that one. I stuck some of these into the story.
Well, you remember the old Pitfall ad was Jack Black as a kid in like that pith helmet. He's talking about going through the forest, and so great. Just reminiscing about games. Even that's just fun.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
There's another story that was fun this week on Muse Collective, and they went global with their fashion styling game, Velment, and this is a women-led company. And they have a interesting partnership with a retailer called Revolve, and so Revolve, puts them on their site, and this is a gigantic retailer. With e-commerce, they have more than 1,000 brands that they sell, fashion brands, and so you can choose from those brands and put them on your avatar, your character, and then enter your character into a contest to see if like you've done a particular scenario for fashion, better than anyone else. And so it's a combination of all real world items that you can sort of style for yourself, and then if you want, you can actually go and buy these items as well. So there's e-commerce seamlessly integrated into the game, where you can buy all of this Revolve clothing. And they said while they were testing this, the average person was spending $252 on the fashion items, right? And so this is a great deal for Revolve. But Muse also gets much higher sort of recognition or awareness for the Velment game. And in that game, you can actually buy in-app purchases of the clothing as well as digital items for your avatar.
Nice.
And you sort of fulfill the fantasy of I can own these clothes that I want but can't afford for when I try to buy the real life thing. Right? So you get the digital clothes and pay real money for that. So I thought like this interesting sort of physical and digital fashion was a very interesting space for them to explore.
Yeah. No, I mean, look at wanting to adorn your avatar, your character, online persona, whatever, with the things that speak to who you are in real life, and vice versa, right? I mean, that's something we've always wanted to do, right? So it's really cool to see these types of things actually coming up. Now, of course, you're going to want to see then people doing kind of fit checks with it after they're going, this is what it looked like online, and this is what I got. You know,
Side by
it's like-
side. You know, you get TikTok video.
which is always a lot of fun. It would be a great PR video, actually. So, and I'm already thinking of like actors that could step into to actually do that,
Yeah.
which would be amazing. Well, before it gets too late, too, Dean, you also had another story here that I would be remiss if we didn't talk about, which is Amazon Gameless Streams let game devs deliver high fidelity, low latency games to players. What?
Yeah. I was pretty impressed with this one, this technology, right? Where just about any game developer can say, you know, like, I'm going to use this game lift and enable cloud gaming for my game, almost like on a self-serve basis here, and then you know, have the game run on just about any device. And that's pretty cool, because, like, you know, now most games that are available via cloud gaming, they're hidden behind somebody else's subscription, right? So like GeForce Now or something like that, and they're not, they're accessible, but at like maybe a price of $15 a month or something like that.
Right.
So now here, the game developers themselves can more directly reach their audiences and set their prices as they wish for their particular game, right? And so that's very interesting. And yeah, cloud gaming technology has gotten a lot better. And you know, there's things happening like Comcast rolling out low latency gaming enabled across its entire network by prioritizing the game traffic, right? And so yeah, we're getting very interesting cloud-based businesses here. I don't know what else you want to say about GameLift. Streams.
I mean, that's exactly the point, right? Is that, you know, as technology progresses and overbuild of infrastructure happens, and we figure out, just as an industry, right, from a technology perspective, how to best leverage these things, more options for people to be able to taste, to play, to engage in content, right? It's going to be critical, and pixel streaming is part of that. You know, of our collective, you know, technology history of building on these things and kind of going forward. You know, some of the things that the company was able to lean into is, and a big one, of course, right, is the massive EC2 infrastructure that we operate on a global basis, right? And it's also about making sure you optimize for the things that are most important for the particular type of activity. And so it's been a pleasure to really watch the team here. Full disclosure, I work in that organization, right? So it's been a real pleasure to watch the team continue to build towards this and kind of marry some of the different technologies or solutions that we have to create this next kind of evolution of a pixel streaming service. And as you pointed out, you know, the cool thing is that if you want to go ahead and just open up an opportunity to have your customers, you know, stream your games, you want to go in and try this in a variety of different ways, not necessarily behind just a, you know, a paid, you know, service, you can do that. Right. And one of the companies that's leaned into that is Jackbox Games. And they just announced that they are going to be delivering their party games now on Amazon GameLift streams to basically any device that has a browser. And so they talk about the fact that, you know, their games are really about bringing people together in front of this principal experience, but you don't necessarily have to have that, you know, a giant console in front of you to do it. Now they have the ability to deliver those experiences to all manner of devices and really engage people from wherever they are. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And we're going to be demoing it at GDC. So make sure if you're coming to GDC, stop by the booth or come see me if you see me rolling around, because I just may have the demo on my person as as I'm walking around. So thanks for picking up that story, Dean. It's one that the team is really proud of, and I think it's going to create a whole bunch of optionality for people. So pretty cool.
Optionality. Woo.
That's right. SAT word. That is a Conan O'Brien. They were talking about when he was a little kid, and whenever he imagines himself as a little kid, he always uses this prissy kind of little voice, and he goes, I use the Latin term for father, pater. Oh, pater, please, pater. And he's like, that's too viscous, SAT word. And I'm like, yes, SAT words. I'm all about it.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, so that was one of the things I'm going to be doing there.
Another one that was interesting, I wanted to mention about, I wrote a story about Cover, which is bringing VTubers to the United States audiences and concerts, right? And so VTubers are like anime character avatars that perform shows for people, like, you know, music concerts. And I interviewed one of them. Her name was Maury Calliope, and she did she filled up the Hollywood Palladium with 4,000 or so people for a concert that went on for 90 minutes, and she was doing mocap behind the stage and singing, and the audience saw, you know, the big anime character on screen, and so it was interesting interviewing her, because, like, you know, there was perfect lip sync, as well as, like, you know, when she's, you know, turning her head and things like that, you know, the avatar turns her head. So I had to ask her, like, are you a real person, or are you an AI? And she said, I'm a real person, and in fact, most of the VTubers out there are real humans right now. I think there's starting to be some AI characters who are entirely not human, right? But the company that brought her here is called Cover. It's a big talent agency, and they have a big business in Japan, where a lot of this originated, and they're very popular in Japan, and now they're trying to see if they can bring lots of these people over to the U.S. and see if the U.S. market's going to take off.
Cool.
So
That's very cool. You know, there is a longtime friend of ours, Mark, A. Thomas Goldberg. Right, who was at EA for a while, and then I worked with him at Sun Microsystems back in the day, and they have a company called ShowCap Entertainment, and they've been doing this kind of avatar motion capture based experiences that then everything gets streamed into VR experiences or into big screens and stuff like that. So it's awesome to see us continue to push the boundaries of mixing our virtual selves and stuff.
Sure, evolved a lot over time. I don't know if you guys remember the virtual Marios that we used to have at E3 that Charles Martinet did. He had a big, like a rig. Back, I think they called it a Waldo back then. If you look up like Mario Waldo, you'll probably find the like puppet apparatus. You don't need that anymore. There's a Japanese teacher who I follow on YouTube, and she didn't want to show her face when she was doing lessons, and so this was like 5 to 10 years ago. She was using VTube kind of technology to have an animated character deliver the lessons live.
Oh.
But you know, it's like, oh, that's super interesting.
That
so this
is
kind
cool.
of stuff, like Hatsune Miku and all this.
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
it's way more popular in Japan. It's super fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. And we just have to hit the right mix of pop culture and icon and graphics and, you know, the Western kind of culture. Once we get those pieces right, I mean, it's that type of stuff is going to take off, right? Just continue to take off. So I do love it. Well, I know, look, guys, we're running up to the end of the hour here. And so we need to go ahead and wrap with what is it that we're playing? So
What are you playing?
No, I'm last to go, buddy. So let's talk to Dean. Dean, what are you
Dean?
What are you doing?
Well, Split Fiction just came out, and I played previews of it. I have yet to get back to it to try to play the whole 14-hour game, but it's an outstanding game, you know, from the Haze Light folks, and it's just like It Takes Two, which sold 12 million copies last time, and it's split screen co-op, so that's great. And also playing a big unannounced game.
Oh, oh yeah, me too, Dean. No, I'm not. How about you, Mark? What are you up to?
I've mostly been yelling at Twitter this week, but I also made time to play a demo.
That
of a
is
game
not a
called-
game you need to play, sir.
It's a game I have to play. Unfortunately, it's an obligation. Yeah, because there's all these great learning games that came out of funds from the Department of Education.
This is true.
And that's in crisis right now, so we'll see. But one of those great games, actually this one I don't think got any education grants, but is still super interesting. It's called Spilled with an exclamation point. Looks very interesting on Steam. There's a demo. It's a little bit of like a casual, cozy. It reminds me of Power Wash Simulator.
All right, let's go ahead and pop that up there. There we
but
go.
you're like cleaning the oil spills in an area.
Oh, there it
I
is.
think that they recently announced their launch date for the game proper, which reminded me that I hadn't gone and played the demo. So I did. Yeah, and you should too.
Very cool. Also, I see the banner that we have up here as well. Is Steam is running a Women's Day sale. Games made by women-led studios. So awesome.
Good job,
that
Steam.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for doing that, Steam. That is or Valve. That's awesome.
I have to head off to a call here. But, yeah.
All right. Well, before you head out, you know what, Dean? If you need to go, that's fine. Mark and I will wrap it up. Dean, we will see you next week, buddy. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. And so this will just be me and Mark closing this down while Dean heads out there.
What's up, Mr. Malacino?
Hey there, Mr. Delora. So for me, I've been playing just a lot of the demo game stuff that we're going to be showing at GDC, which is going to be great.
Cool.
But something that I do want to go and point people to. Check this out on the Humble website, humblebundle.com. For $20 or up, you have 70 games from Capcom.
Holy cow.
70 games from Mega Man to Street Fighter, Gem Fighters, and then all these classic games, Ghosts and Goblins, Battle Circuit, Bionic Commando, all of these. And then you also have their arcade stadium packs. Each of them have 30 arcade games in them, which is just crazy. And yeah, it's awesome. And so, I mean, if you want to go ahead and just pick up a whole bunch of amazing games, right, from the history of Capcom and all their fighting games, plus 50% off coupon for Street Fighter 6, go to Humble Bundle. Why people are not checking this stuff out on the regular, although I shouldn't say they're not, because what have they done? They raised $46,490 for charity already just through this one bundle alone. So you can choose to put more in there as well. I check Humble Bundle all the time. Amazing, amazing collection of games. And even though I own so many of these through, through different collections and stuff, I still went ahead and bought it just because it's great to have them all in one spot. So definitely go check that out. That's, really, really awesome. Of course, you know me. I'm a big retro games guy. So yeah. And that's about all I've got going on. Well, that's not true. There's always a ton of stuff going on.
Right.
I meant for our live stream today, for sure. Yeah. So you're heading out to GDC as well. This will be what GDC for you, Mark?
Oh my God. 27,
Ooh,
28? I don't know.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I realized I was telling people, it was 24 years since I started Good Toy. Oh, no. It's 25 years. Quarter of a century going to GDC now, which is just absolutely crazy.
It is funny, I think, the evolution over time of how it's grown and the community has grown. There was a period of time where I felt like I knew everybody at GDC because I was doing developer relations for 10 years. And now I feel like I know nobody at GDC because the industry has grown so much.
I know.
It's amazing.
I know. But what I do love is that even though it's grown so much, there are still people that founded the industry still working in it to this day.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's the trick for those of you that may be going that haven't been to GDC before. Just talk to people. You're going to be standing next to legends and are not going to realize it, right?
Yep.
And so it's really, really cool to have that experience. And GDC, for as big as it is, it's like homecoming, right?
Right.
So
family coming together.
I do love it. Yeah. So yeah. And yeah, we have a lot planned for the week. I know you and I are in a couple of things during the week, but yeah, it's just we're going to be all over the place. So
yeah, it's going to be chaos. Good chaos. Take lots of vitamin C and wash your hands.
Yeah. yes. Pro tip. My doctor was like, it's actually safer to hug your colleagues and your friends than it is to shake their hand.
Shake your hands,
right? Because after you shake the hand, then you're like, you touch your face and your eyes and everything. It's like, no, you're in there momentarily and you're out. And I'm like, all right. So it's hugs, free hugs at GDC.
Yep.
You come find me. Anybody that wants one, free hug, GDC hug for sure.
Non-creepy. Yep.
Oh,
that'll be great. Yeah. So what's next week? Let's talk about talks that we suggest or
absolutely
or, blah, 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 blah.
Absolutely, because we know Dean is going to be on at least one or two sessions. I don't know if you're going to be as well. I will be as well. So we'll go ahead. That's what we'll do. We'll lean into GDC, what to expect from GDC next week. And I'm also going to make sure that I get my playlist of the best video game ads and commercials. Oh, yeah. And we'll unfurl that next week too. But that
sounds fun.
But that's it. That's it for us today. So thanks everybody for jumping in and joining us this Friday afternoon. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and an awesome weekend. And go play lots of games. Go check out that Capcom Arcade Classics and Fighters Pack. It's stupid good at humblebundle.com. And some of that money goes to a really good cause. Well, it goes to a lot of great causes. Helps Humble Bundle stay alive, helps the developer stay alive, and you get to give to charities. So it's win all the way around. All right, gang.
Cool.
Take care. We'll see you next week. GDC, looking forward next week. And we're out of here. Have a good one. See ya.